At 6. You can keep up with all the latest developments on the BBC website. From the 6 o'clock team, it's goodbye. But the news continues here on BBC One, as now it's time to join our colleagues for the news where you are. From all of us, good night.
Thanks, Rita. Just gone 6:30. You're watching East Midlands Today. And tonight, the volunteers from here helping those most in need in Morocco's disaster zone. Teams from across the East Midlands are doing what they can.
These people, they're homeless. They've got no homes anymore. And they've got no tents either.
Derby is set to be the new home of our railways, yet the train builder Alstom said it needs help from the government to fill its order books.
After a summer of serious incidents and major disruption, Nottingham's tram network records its worst ever figure for reliability.
Find out what's driving one Derbyshire man to complete 5 ultramarathons in 5 days, and I'll give you a clue, it's something to do with this.
Hello, welcome to Tuesday's programme. I'm Anne Davis, thanks for joining us. And we start tonight with the devastating earthquake in Morocco and the efforts of East Midlands charities and volunteers to try and save lives. At least 2,600 people are dead, hundreds more are seriously injured. Rescue teams that include firefighters from our region are racing to save people trapped under the rubble. Meanwhile, relief workers from some of our charities are providing food, water and shelter to survivors in desperate need of help. Owen Shipton reports.
They said there is nothing. There is nothing. They need everything.
Tell her tomorrow things will come.
Inshallah.
People here have lost everything. Friday's earthquake, the hardest to hit Morocco in more than 120 years, struck hardest in the high Atlas Mountains southwest of Marrakesh.
Literally, whilst we're standing here, that body's just been taken out the rubble. There's so many...
Charity worker Zubair Ahmed from Derby was on a family holiday in Morocco at the time. He stayed to help.
We actually were in a building and it was all shaking and we ended up caught in this earthquake. So obviously we're here on the ground, we had to help and we got into action straight away. Look at all these people, they're homeless. They've got no homes anymore. And they've got no tents either.
Some remote villages near the epicentre were already hard to reach. After the quake, boulders blocking the road have made travelling there even harder.
Clearing the road, all that mountain collapsed.
Charity Muslim Hands is based in Nottingham. It's raised £167,000 to support survivors. A team, including Nawal El Makni, is in Morocco providing food, water and shelter.
There's a lot of children who are at risk of malnutrition, perhaps dying from sleeping outside in the cold, and it's agonizing for any parents to helplessly watch their child and being utterly unable to support them or help them in any way.
Straight after we spoke, Nawal was travelling back to the mountains to help. Meanwhile, firefighters from our region are joining an international search and rescue team. They include 4 from Lincolnshire, plus their rescue dog Colin, and 2 from Leicestershire.
We know that from past earthquakes and stuff, people can survive for some serious time sort of thing. So we're going to make every effort we possibly can to get there and hopefully save some people.
This Friday, worshippers at 2 mosques in Leicester, the Masjid Al-Falah and the Masjid Bukhari, will give money to fund life-saving aid. Islamic Relief UK expects it to be the charity's largest ever Friday mosque collection. The money will help pay for food and shelter for the thousands whose lives have been devastated. Owen Shipton, BBC East Midlands Today.
Well, back home, thousands of jobs could be at risk at Derby's train makers, with the Unite union saying that delays by the government to offer out contracts is hampering production. The Litchurch Lane Works in the city has been building trains since the Industrial Revolution, but right now they have no orders in place for the start of next year. Natasha Turney has this report.
A tough day for workers, waking up to read about the company's uncertain future. It's the leader in train building, having won the contracts with Hitachi for HS2, but with the project delayed and existing contracts only lasting for the next few months, there are worries.
We've obviously been talking with our employees today. We work very closely with our trade union colleagues. and it's only prudent that we start to respond to the fact that we are coming within the next 6 months to an area where we need to address this now very quickly.
Earlier this year, Derby was selected to be the new home of Great British Railways, with the headquarters soon to be based in the city. And that's in part to its strong history within the industry. This site here in Litchurch Lane actually dates back to the 1870s when they first started manufacturing trains on the site. And they've had some big projects since then, including the Elizabeth Line trains and the Cairo monorail. But now the order book's drying up.
The way orders are placed seems to be feast or famine. It is a shock. We thought we'd got over that with Alstom securing such a large contract to supply HS2. But the problem appears to be a gap between the end of this year and the beginning of 2026.
The company is one of the city's largest private employers, and so a lack of orders would have a significant impact on its 2,000-strong workforce and the local community.
The worst case scenario would be we might be looking at a situation where either a significant job cuts will be taking place, or potentially the site in itself shutting and future work being relocated elsewhere. Now, that's something that we want. That's not something that certainly our members want.
In a statement, the Department for Transport said the government remains committed to supporting the entire sector and that they remain in contact with Alstom as it develops a sustainable future for its Derby site. But Alstom said what it needs is action.
We need to see something tangible that can help us address this period of 3 years to bridge the gap for the future for the business here in Derby.
Now it's a waiting game to see how long it takes to secure the work to see it beyond the next 6 months. Natasha Turney, BBC East Midlands Today, Derby.
Nottingham's tram network recorded its lowest ever figure for reliability over this summer, with almost 1 in 10 trams not running as scheduled. A report by the tram's operators says that major incidents like the Nottingham attacks, a tram derailment and a communications fault all contributed to disruption on the network. Here's our political reporter Hugh Caswell.
Next year, Nottingham's tram network will be 2 decades old. But in all those years, there's maybe never been a tougher time for the trams than now. Passengers like hairdresser Lindsay have noticed some disruption.
Sometimes they break down, which is not ideal when you're on a time frame for, picking up the kids from school and they're broken down.
Others, like student Amelia, sometimes find it frustrating.
I think they give alternative buses if you can't get that tram, but for some people getting the bus can be more difficult.
There has been an awful lot for the tram's operators to contend with recently. On June the 12th, a tram derailed and hit an overhead line as it approached a stop in Bulwell. An investigation into what happened is still being carried out. The following day, the network was disrupted by the Nottingham attacks, in which 3 people died. A fortnight later, a man was fatally stabbed on a tram near the Highbury Vale stop in Basford. Other incidents over the summer included a major communications fault that brought the entire network to a standstill on July the 2nd. Then, 2 weeks later, a car drove onto the tracks at Lenton Lane Bridge and got stuck. The same day also saw a medical emergency on a tram near the QMC and another tram break down in West Bridgford. All those incidents contributed towards June and July seeing the worst reliability stats for the tram network since it opened. Nonetheless, many passengers we spoke to, like university lecturer David, were very happy with the service.
I've found them very reliable. I never seem to have to wait more than about 5 or 6 minutes at the very most, and quite often it's just a couple of minutes.
Foster carer Maggie also had nothing but good things to say.
You haven't got to look there and it tells you how many minutes you've got to wait, and they normally come on that time. They really are very reliable.
The previous lowest figure for reliability was over the winter of 2021 and 2022 when, among other things, there was a big rise in tram staff off work with COVID.
Question is, I guess, though, how do they actually come up with these kind of stats? Hugh has the answer, he hopes.
Yes, well, I'll do my best. So, Tram Performance is measured by 2 metrics, reliability and punctuality. The latter means whether or not they show up at the time advertised on the schedule. The former is whether they show up at all, and it's that one we're most concerned with today. So, from the start of June to the end of July, reliability was 91.3%. This figure over here. So still the vast majority of trams running, but that is the lowest figure since the network opened in 2004. Now, of course, with incidents like the Nottingham attacks, along with cars driving onto tram bridges, the tram's operators aren't at fault. But if you look at the last few figures here presented at the Tram Performance meeting, they range from that 91 up to, well, a little over 95%. But go back a bit further to, say, 10 years ago, when we should point out there was only the one line. But as you can see, back then it was consistently above 99%. Now, we asked for an interview with the tram's operators today. They've told us no one was available. But in a statement, their head of operations said it's clearly been a difficult few months for the network, with services affected by a series of major incidents that were beyond their control. They say they share their customers' frustration and are working to improve resilience. They add that in recent weeks, the number of tram journeys completed on time has returned to the long-term average of around 96%. Now, I mentioned punctuality as well. That's whether a tram shows up at the time advertised on the schedule. Well, the most recent figure we have for that, 91.4%. Now, that is the fourth lowest on record, but it's worth pointing out the three lowest punctuality figures were all recorded in the last 2 years. Maybe just a sign of the times. Anne.
Maybe. Thanks indeed for that, Hugh. Let's have a look at some of the day's other news now, shall we? And Poundland are to join B&M in taking up the leases vacated by Wilko in dozens of shops across the country. Nottinghamshire-based Wilko, of course, who will disappear from UK high streets after that rescue deal fell through yesterday. The first shops to close in our region include Colville, Humberston, Melton and Market Harborough. The discount retailer B&M, they're set to take on the leases of 51 shops, while Poundland has secured a deal for 71 others. And concerns being raised that park and ride services should have been extended to cope with all the visitors attending the Radio 2 in the Park event, which is all happening at Victoria Park this weekend. The City Council has confirmed that park and ride services will just run as usual on Saturday, which means finishing at 7 in the evening and then not at all on Sunday. Well, that's been criticised as a missed opportunity for easing traffic congestion in the area.
It's so short-sighted of the council. You know, this is such an opportunity to showcase the wondrous city of Leicester, but also as a local resident, we were promised that there would be a sustainable transport process in place, that they had everything under control, and it just seems such an own goal not to extend something as fundamental as the park and ride. You know, we don't want gridlock, we want people to be enjoying themselves.
Well, there's a meeting today over the proposed Hinckley National Rail Freight Interchange project. The 650-acre scheme would see 9 warehouses built on land near Burbage Common, as well as a rail terminal capable of handling 16 trains a day. The examination process is set to take around 6 months, starting with a public meeting, which is this evening. Bird owners in Derbyshire are being urged to try and take steps to reduce the risk of bird flu. It's all because of an outbreak near Uttoxeter in Staffordshire, where a small surveillance zone has been introduced. Derbyshire County Council is urging all poultry keepers to put in measures to please help stop the spread. You're watching East Midlands today here on the BBC, and next tonight it's being called the 5 for 50 Challenge. Let me explain that, because on Monday, one man aiming to do 5 ultramarathons over 5 days in an attempt to raise a whopping £50,000 for a new minibus for a special needs school in Derbyshire. Jodie Law reports.
As the rain pours down outside, the fun doesn't stop at Benellyfield School in Ilkeston. There are 100 children being taught here with a range of learning and physical disabilities. Head teacher Jenny hopes a new school minibus could make a huge difference to their experience here.
For our children, because of their additional needs, actually putting learning into real life context and getting out and about is so important to them, rather than doing something in an abstract way inside a classroom. So outdoor learning is a real focus of our curriculum development, and so having this fully accessible minibus will open up so many more avenues and opportunities for the children.
This is the minibus the school uses now to get out and about, but it's not fully accessible, which means those with mobility issues can't go on school trips.
We're looking for one with an accessible tailgate, and that will allow our wheelchair users to have exactly the same opportunities as all our other pupils.
It's Jenny's husband Steve who spent months training for a mammoth challenge. At 65, he's attempting to complete 5 ultramarathons in 5 days and help raise £50,000 for a new minibus.
I start from the school, and then what I do is I run, it's about 150 miles altogether, but the first day I'm doing like what they call an ultramarathon, which is anything over 26.2 miles. But mine are going to be closer to the 50k mark, which is about 31 miles a day.
During school next week, the children will also be taking part in 5 challenges of their own, from rowing to a dance-a-thon. They're wishing Steve well with his ultramarathons.
I think it's pretty exciting.
He's going to do good and hopefully he completes it.
He'll probably be tired after that. But yeah, I think he might enjoy it. Unless it rains, then maybe a bit soggy.
Very good. Right. Very far. And can go around school.
He is going to go around lots of schools, isn't he?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
A bit nervous. I've done things before, but this is kind of, you know, because I'm getting older now, but I've got to be able to tell my body what to do.
Steve will set off on Monday morning from Beneley Field School. He'll head to Chesterfield and into the Peak District, back down to Ripley and Burton, visiting 12 schools along the route, which are part of the same academy trust. Jodie Law, BBC, East Midlands Today, Ilkeston, Derbyshire.
What a challenge, what a man. Good luck, Steve. Now, as we just mentioned, it's only a few days to go until Leicester welcomes Radio 2 in the park. They've got Kylie Minogue, Bananarama, Rick Astley, to name just a few of the big names performing at Victoria Park. So our reporter Sophia Hartley has been testing just how well people in the city know the lineup and, of course, their songs.
I'm not a singer, I'm a dancer. I should be so lucky, 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 lucky. I should be so lucky in love.
We're on the streets of Leicester getting very excited for Radio 2 in the park coming here very, very soon. So we're asking the public how well they know this lineup. Never Gonna Give You Up.
Never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and hurt you.
I Should Be So Lucky.
Lucky, lucky, lucky.
I've been to the year 3000.
And my great, great, great granddaughter
is Pretty Fly.
Oh, Never Gonna Turn Around.
And Hurt You.
Oh, lovely. Oh, you went for different ones. I Should Be So Lucky.
I don't know that one, sorry.
A few moments later.
And your great, great, great granddaughter is pretty fine.
Never Gonna Give You Up.
Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you.
I was going to say you won't believe, but you probably would believe just how much singing has been going on when we're watching that. Colin is very lucky there that I'm not challenging him to sing the rest of some of those songs.
No one needs to be rickrolled by me. Absolutely no one. Thanks very much indeed. And a very good evening to you. Onto the sport. And starting with Samit Patel, a cricketing home county hero who's leaving Nottinghamshire after 22 seasons, but insists there's plenty more cricket to come from him. Patel's won One-Day Cups, T20 Blasts and County Championships. He's been a PCA Player of the Year, but he won't be back at Notts next season. I've been to see Samit to talk about a stellar 2 decades at Trent Bridge and about what's coming next.
Well, I love cricket. I love performing under a huge amount of pressure and in front of a big crowd. I feel like I've still got more to give and I'm still performing, so that is a little bit of a downer. But if the club want to move in a different direction, there's not a lot I can do.
22 years at his home county. I mean, just look at that youthful face. It's a hard thing to leave, but the mutual love between Samit Patel and Nottinghamshire remains, and no wonder. The Patel era included 2 county championships, 2 one-day trophies and 2 T20 Blast Trams. It is quite the record.
The memories that we've created with a bunch of guys in the dressing room, where we have a hard pre-season and we go and win a trophy in that year is fantastic, and that's exactly how it should be. But the memories that we've created here have been fantastic, especially in that 22 years that I've played here.
And in what's a game of numbers, Samit Patels are simply extraordinary. Year after year with both bat and ball, almost ever present in the T20 side and winning himself dozens of England appearances along the way.
You've just got to want it. You've got to want that big moment in a pressure game to to see the outcome and be there and win the game for your teammates, there's no better plaudit than that. I think that being a match winner, which I prided myself on for so many years, and hopefully more years to come, is why I play cricket.
And if there's one message Samit Patel wants to give, it's that at nearly 39 years old, he is not done yet. There is more top-level cricket to be played, but this innings is over. What an innings it's been.
Fun, lots of fun. From when I first started to the middle phase where I've seen everything, and now to the end bit, yeah, it's been so much fun. It really has. I can't explain how much it has. The ride's been a great one, to be honest.
And he's promised us definite news on where next very, very soon, has Samit Patel. Well, his former Nottinghamshire colleagues have not had the finest day of it at Kent. Uphill task to save that match there tomorrow. In the second division, a great knock from Colin Ackerman has somehow given promotion chasing Leicestershire a faint sniff of victory at Hove, while Laius Deploy has been the man for Derbyshire. That match heading for a draw almost certainly tomorrow. On to basketball, and the Leicester Riders get their new season underway this Friday at home to Cheshire Phoenix. Now, last season, Leicester found themselves runners-up in most competitions to big spending London Lions, and now with a new squad in place, there are new goals for long-serving coach Rob Paternostro to aim for.
We talk about just improving as a group. We talk about enjoying ourselves in that process. And we talk about, being a team that no one wants to play. You want to be that team that no one wants to play. And I think if you do that, I think eventually as the season goes on, you can start talking about the trophies. You can start talking about, maybe winning leagues or so. But the success for me is how much better my team is at the end of the year than they were at the beginning.
And there is much more to come from the Riders camp later this week as we preview the new season in depth. We ought to just mention the football. Notts County are at home to Wolves under-21s tonight in the EFL Trophy. It's the Magpies' first game back in the tournament for almost 5 years. And we couldn't leave you without mentioning poor old Buxton FC, who've been told they'll have to replay the entirety of their game at Giants of the Non-League Scunthorpe United. Now, that's after Saturday's fixture was abandoned in the 96th minute due to a downpour. Buxton were winning by 2-1 at Glanford Park for what surely would have been a famous victory in the club's history. The National League say they're simply adhering to regulations by enforcing the replay. It still looks pretty harsh, doesn't it?
Gutting, absolutely gutting. Oh my gosh, thanks Colin, thank you for
football.
That. We're talking retail therapy now. I think I love it too much, but it can make you feel good. And Nottinghamshire Care Home, though, they're trying a new approach to improve the well-being of their residents who have dementia. It's opened a shop where people can browse and buy using pretend money, and Rebecca Bryce has been to see it.
Handsome.
He's handsome. Oh, we'd like to know that, Janet.
Here at open all hours, Janet can stock up on as much Cliff Richard memorabilia as she likes.
We'll have to write to him, Janet, see if he can come and visit us. Bring us a bottle out of his vineyard.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's not the only bargain to be had. This shop sells everything from jewellery and bags to hats and antiques, and has been specially curated to tap into the interests of the people who live here.
We found out people, who used to run the Cliff Richard fan club back in the day, and people, oh, I used to work in a jewellery shop, I used to do this, and it's nice because it brings back their memories, but also helps me find out stuff that I absolutely had no idea about.
These are what I bought earlier from the shop. I was born in Bombay and my father was in the army. I've even had a ride on an elephant, and when I saw these on the shelf, I thought, they're mine.
Shopping, it creates that buzz. It makes you feel great, picking and selecting something for yourself rather than other people doing it for you. It's about choices.
You see, there are lots of things here.
Karen, a lady that's actually been today, I think she's bought the earrings that she donated to us, which is great. She obviously liked them first and second time round.
And will you wear them?
Oh, yeah.
Do you hope you get some compliments?
Oh, no, well, yeah. Yes.
We had a gentleman this morning who came in and chose a top for his wife. He's in a really good mood this afternoon. He keeps saying to me, oh, I've bought Margaret a top today. And I said, oh, where did you go? And he said, oh, I went to the shops. So it's really nice.
Yeah. Do you like that?
I love that.
It's going to be your colour as well.
The concept of the shop is to encourage independence and staying active.
Oh, that is beautiful.
To make the experience as authentic as possible, the customers are given replica money to spend.
Something that became apparent really quickly is that some of the older generation really do worry about money. How am I going to pay for this? How much is this? But if they've got that money, it takes that stress away and makes the experience really enjoyable.
Okay, and this is your change.
Sometimes in dementia you can have really bad days, and when family come in they really struggle sometimes to make conversation and just don't know what to do. So witnessing, actually they can talk about, oh, look at this, should we buy this, and can you remember this? It's heartwarming to see, and it makes that visit just go much more smoothly.
And you can't put a price on that.
You've got such good taste, Janet.
Rebecca Bryce, BBC East Midlands Today, West Bridgeford.
Isn't that just the loveliest film, the loveliest story? So nice. It makes it not matter that it was raining pretty much all day today.
It was pretty grotty, wasn't it? Yeah, massive come down from last week's hot sunshine, of course. We've been thrown into autumn today, let's put it that way. Nothing says autumn, though, than welly boots and splashy puddles, lovely colourful leaves as well. But yes, it rained, and then it rained, and then it rained some more. But I guess the good thing about today was that the heat and humidity has finally left us. And the other good news is that we're going to see the sunshine back tomorrow, thankfully. Yeah, here's today's weather front. It did kind of stall across us for a while, but it will clear away through tonight. And we've got a bit of high pressure just squeezing in between two weather fronts for tomorrow. So that will be bringing us some sunshine once again. But for some, it's still raining out there. It's raining across the east at the moment, but it will be clearing away this evening. We dry up then through tonight, and the skies will clear for some as well. And where we get the clearer skies, it's actually going to turn a little chilly with temperatures dropping to a minimum of 9 to 10 degrees. So a much fresher feel tomorrow morning, that's the thing. And we'll have that sunshine as well. Beautiful blue skies throughout the morning. We'll see a little bit of cloud, I think, building up throughout the day, but it's a dry day, it's a bright day, and it's not hot. Feeling quite pleasant, actually. 18, 19 degrees, the maximum temperature. Now, there is some bit of doubt on what's going to happen for the end of the week. There's a weather front which will start to push in, but it looks as though it will stall just to the north and the west of us. So I think northern and western parts, perhaps into Derbyshire for a time on Thursday, might get a little bit of rain here, but the best of the sunshine and the drier weather towards the south and the east. We might get some sunshine later on in the day, and temperatures again up to around 19 or 20 degrees. And then after that, bit of a mixed picture actually for the rest of this week and into the weekend. There will be some rain around, particularly on Saturday, as you can see. Temperatures staying up into the low 20s though.
Thanks, Kay. We said blue sky, which sounded lovely, didn't it? Elisa's back a little bit later on. Whatever you were doing tonight, make sure it's good. That's it from us. Bye.
Work.